Okay, thank you. Barbara's talk is a great sort of glimpse into how we're dealing with this at the sort of like business market level. And then the next talks dive into some of the more specifics on how they handle different aspects of service functions that our industry needs to provide. So the next one is tackle some of the design related questions, and Gábor and András will walk you through that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for staying with us. Are there any designers in the room? There are some. Cool. Welcome. Anyone who ever worked with designers or currently working with designers? Even better. Okay, cool. Just wanted to, get the vibes. If we're talking about vibe coding and vibe design in some cases. So hello and welcome. I'm Gábor Suhajda, lead designer and product strategist at BobCats Coding. And I'm here with András, who will introduce himself shortly. So now it works. So you already heard about what we are doing at BobCats. We are a digital product studio delivering all kinds of solutions. My background is in engineering and design and design education. And currently I'm a designer and strategist at BobCats Coding.
Thank you. My voice is slowly fading away, but hopefully you're going to be able to still hear me. So let's see if I can get through this 20 minutes. Okay, I run a team of 11 people, and Gábor is also part of it. So he's kind of a shared person between the two companies. And our team is called Stereogram, and we're basically a design as a service kind of collective. So we sell mostly a lot of UI and UX design. So just a few things that we did partially together with the BobCats team and otherwise. We like to design for like large corporate websites. We like to do SaaS. Also, we like to do mobile apps. And now, most recently, many of our clients come from the fintech space. So yeah, a few things about me. I have a background in visual design, but now there's two main focus areas in my life. And one is that I run the studio, and the other one is I'm teaching at two different schools. So yeah, if you're ever in Budapest, drop us a line and feel free to come by our office. Just so we can kind of set the stage for this whole thing. There's a great link and connection between Lisbon and Budapest, and I don't know if you know this, so let me try to show it to you. And it's about a subway line. The subway doesn't go this long, a plane would, but this guy, João Rodrigues Vieira, and let me know if my Portuguese is shit. Thank you. Unfortunately, he's no longer alive, but he was a Portuguese artist, and he did some beautiful lettering work that got placed into one of our most visited and most frequently used metro lines, line number 3. So you can see this beautiful tile, and it's a great contribution from him towards the Budapest visual scene, because I think the Portuguese architecture and everything around here has such a nice visual aesthetic and has such a high affinity to visual culture that we're forever grateful for. So yeah, it was officially gifted to us by Carres. And if you look at their logo and you look at a different logo, there's an uncanny resemblance. Okay, so to set this up, I wanted to give you guys some context. We want you to, together with Gábor, to walk away with a possible kind of perspective on how you can decide whether to use AI or not use AI for different things. Whether it's your team, whether it's a different project, we kind of want to give a lens for that. Okay, so this talk is not going to be about the meta level of AI and all the possible or potential societal changes that it brings. It's not going to be about how it affects the whole of the tech world. It's mostly going to be about how it affects or impacts digital product design or digital product development, and what the actual practicalities are that it brings us. Okay, there's this designer called Irene Pereira, and she wrote a book called Universal Principles of UX, which is a great book, by the way. And in the beginning or the early chapters, she draws a connection to digital product design and architecture or modern architecture. And I really, really like this analogy, and we're going to explore that analogy. And I'm going to try to compare it to the design process, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's important. Since many of you come from the product space, I'm sure that you're all about the double diamond approach, and you know everything about this. But if we wanted to really simplify it, it kind of looks like this. So you're starting off, you do some experimentation, you do some exploration work towards different tracks, and then you slowly consolidate. And partially, this is also how architecture works, because if we look at the general drum beats of what the architectural process also dictates, is first you get the insights, then you try to define the requirements, then you move into some mid-fidelity design like conceptual work, then specifications, and then comes the implementation part. So the reason I wanted to draw this analogy or introduce this reference is so that we have also, again, a lens through which we can view this whole shift that is happening to us. So if we look at modern architecture, it's kind of, let's say, with all the standardization and everything, it's 100 plus years old. And if we look at digital product design, especially looking at Don Norman when he first coined the term user experience design, it's even younger than myself. Also, I don't know if you believe me about that. Okay, so just looking at the timeline or the time span, it's really short, and a lot has happened in it. So what do we have within this 30 or 30 plus years now? Um, we had a lot of web development, so from Web 1.0 to 2.0, and then crypto and everything else. But if we just really focus on the last part, it has it's coming like an invisible wave, the size of a tsunami, that no one can really tell what it's actually going to do, but it will bring a change that will be really night and day. And I think that is the AI era. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Gábor.
And now we are going a bit deeper into diamonds. By the way, we have a few seats in front. You can sit on the ground if you want, so feel free to move if you need. So diamonds, double diamond, just really the basics, problem space, solution space. But I think what we and many of you already saw is that there's a third diamond in many cases, the delivery phase, the delivery space, where really a lot of projects spend a lot of time. We will go a bit deeper on both or all three, but this is kind of separated. The first part, the first two being about planning, design, finding the right solution, while the third one, implementation, is where the actual implementation happens. So for a long time, if we took the effort and cost involved in these two main phases of projects, what we saw is that the planning, the design part was relatively cheap, and then the implementation, actually coding, building the solution, that was relatively expensive. And this size difference, this huge gap between the two efforts and costs, this is what I like to call the original promise of design. This is what we preached for like decades, basically, that you have to do design because that's a lot cheaper to prototype and iterate in the design phase before building the solution that you want to build. So that was true for a long time. And then came AI and vibe coding and these tools and similar other tools, and it kind of changed. So what was the big difference previously? Now this difference is not that big. because with all the vibe coding tools and all these AI tools that you can use to build and design and whatever, the planning and the implementation will go hand in hand, happen in the same phase, and it will happen a lot quicker and for a lot cheaper. And this is what we already see with some of our clients, and with all this, we see that the MVP kind of became a commodity now, like having a website or a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page, because it's so cheap that then and so quick to build that it's not really a bottleneck of many projects or many companies to start off. And this means a lot of change in a lot of aspects of design and projects and products and everyone involved. So the first interesting thing is that this middle diamond, the solution space, is kind of endangered by AI, because this is not where the big things will happen. The big things will happen in the big sort of diamond, in the shape of small diamonds, because you can build faster and for cheaper, and you can use that same time and effort to build multiple iterations, maybe on multiple parallel tracks, and figure out what works best, maybe test with real users, test it on the market, not just with a few users, like 5 or 10 maybe, until you find the right solution and you say that, okay, this is the final one. So all these little diamonds move into the third one, which I call the new solution and delivery space, in lack of a better word. Maybe we will come up with something better soon, where basically the design and the development, the planning and the implementation happens all at once, maybe done by the same person, maybe done in collaboration of designers and engineers and product people, clients, users. It is really cheap to do any of these things right now, so it's possible, and a lot more possible than it was before. So for the same cost, you have a lot more iterations. We had a talk that explored how many percentage you will get a solution right if you build with AI. So it's around 86 or something like that. So if you have like 20 more iterations during the same time, so it's really exciting, and this is how the MVP is becoming a commodity for many cases. And then the changes there in the life of agency people as well. So like previously, this is how a design project looked like. This is obviously just the portion of the whole project, but this is what we did. By now, the whole project runs a lot faster, with many things happening. Maybe the AI slope cleanup is also there, which Barbara already talked about. But there are these phenomena that we kind of noticed on the market in the last few months, where we started to discover and research this project. So the first one is really a cliche, but clients are not really buying your design Figma files or like design systems or whatever. They're not even buying the code. They need solutions, and we have to deliver that, whatever the tool is, whether it's AI or not. So that's really a cliche, but sometimes it's surprising to people. Clients really expect more because of those evil, not evil, but those big corporations with their studies and white papers and whatever. So those are really distorting the expectations of many people on the market, and it's really hard for us to be able to sell properly. Like for example, there's this quality overhead, what we call it, is that the same project you can do a good enough solution with the AI in maybe a few days or a few hours, and the client says, why would I pay you for, I don't know, 2 more weeks of work or 2 months of work, because I already have a good enough solution. And you say that, okay, but this is not reliable, not secure, the UX is off, it looks ugly, it's not unique, and all those things. So it's really hard to measure the multiplier between the two ends of this quality scale, and also price it, and then being able to sell it. So it's really becoming a challenge for us, at least. But with that, and this also ties into Barbara's talk. So we see that this sales engineering thing is a new kind of role or responsibility for not just engineers but designers as well, because of the faster sales cycles and the faster turnarounds. They have to be there with the clients and be able to present their solutions quicker, and they have to be presentable. And the fifth one is interesting. So we have to kind of convince clients that we can use Lovable better. So we can write better prompts, and we think that it really connects to quality. So we believe that the good quality output still depends on the good professionals, engineers, product people, designers, whoever involved. And we have to convince them that we can use these tools better than them, even though they can also sign up and start building. So these are some challenges that we face. And to tackle that, we are experimenting with a small framework, not really revolutionary, I would say, but we're already testing it and trying to figure out how to evaluate clients and projects. So there are a lot of aspects that you can consider when starting a new project or working with a new client. All these will tell you kind of the sophistication of that project, to put it simply. And this sophistication will help you figure out how much AI you can use in that project. So if it's an AI first project, you can design and build the whole thing with AI tools, or in just one live coding tool maybe, and maybe that's fine. Maybe you will just use AI in the early phases, like ideation, validation, and then move on to traditional development and design tools. Or on the other hand, you might go with a more traditional approach and design in Figma and with classic traditional methods. And whatever you come up with, you build it with vibe coding tools. Or the bottom end is where you design and build with traditional tools entirely. And this is kind of what will define the amount of AI and the share of AI tools used in the project. This will also define the team composition and help you price it, basically. And if you like diamonds, here are some more. So on the top end, we have this new triple diamond where you use AI all day, all night, and then bottom with the classic double diamond. Okay, just to give another perspective on this, we try to kind of measure it, because we like to measure stuff, whatever is possible, and some of these things can be measured. So the middle section, this is kind of measurable. The cornerstones of the project, I mean, this is not comprehensive, but kind of helps us to define the basics. So those things will define the second group, and then I call it chemistry, because this is really a lot can depend on the client maturity, stakeholder and team structure on the client side. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad for the use of AI. But anyway, you get whatever you can and measure, like really simple 1 to 5, simple, complex, low, high. Um, sorry, so just some generic examples. A big software as a service project. Then it's kind of sophisticated. A mobile app that maybe it's somewhere in the middle, and then a quick and dirty MVP. This gets a low sophistication score. And the interesting thing is that the more sophisticated the project, the less AI you can use in that project. Like this is where these examples sit on the scale. And what is also interesting is that if you consider a huge project, then you might consider splitting it up into multiple phases and score those phases individually, because maybe you can use a lot of AI in the early stages, like ideation, exploration, maybe even research. But in later phases, you might use less and less. So this is kind of a summary for all these things. I'm really interested in how you can use this, whether you can use it. You can feel free to adapt it or implement it, or we can chat about it later. But there are some things that cannot be done with AI, right?
Spoiler alert. Okay, are you guys fine? Still good for a few more slides? We have wine from the Cabo da Roca region, so feel free to ask for some glasses. And also, I challenge everyone to take a sip whenever you hear AI. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so the big, fearful but underlying question is, how will we still stay human, and what is the remainder that is going to be still human, and what are the things that we can't necessarily take out of the equation? And we've thought about this together with Gábor at least for the past 2 months. So we found two main things. So one of them being intent. And intent, I mean this in a sense of it's kind of a meta level of a goal. So goal would be a simpler thing, and intent is a lot harder to duplicate or outsource or memify. If you've ever tried briefing anyone on anything, you know how hard intent is to be kind of passed on. And the other thing that we feel cannot be outsourced is emotion. AI is with all its very convincing and very confident responses, it's very generic and quite soulless. And I think designers have a very big role in this whole digital space, also with a term of emotional design. So I think designers have a big responsibility in taking care of this and kind of putting some empathy and putting some emotion into digital products. And maybe there's a third thing. So there are a few things that you can grasp on that cannot necessarily be outsourced to AI, and that is the kind of quality supervision. So before you decide on something to be shipped, and it turns out it's AI slop, there's still human gatekeepers, and you can be the human gatekeepers of kind of taking on this role of quality supervision. Okay, so how does it all come together with our role and design roles? So if we look at a designer, designers are an interesting breed, I think, and this looked a lot better than the HRT model. So if you look at these dots, these represent different skills or different skill sets that a designer has. So maybe a traditional designer is very technically skilled. Maybe he can communicate about his designs and present it to stakeholders. Maybe he heard a few things about sales or business. But with the introduction of AI, we also have to augment ourselves in different ways. And that can either turn us into an AI designer, that could potentially turn us into context engineer, or that could turn us into different things. And the skills are either diminished or emphasized. So if you're good in communication, that is going to be something that is now of higher value than maybe it was before, because AI cannot necessarily convince a stakeholder that, okay, this purple and green will be good for the presentation, but maybe you will. So this kind of puts you in a position of looking at different vectors. So um, an expert consultant could be also a new word or a new position or role that we use for this. Consultant, not necessarily in the BCG terms, but more in the sense of being a generalist. So with the help of AI, maybe you can become more of a generalist and also tackle problems in the sales area or business strategy. And maybe, just maybe, going on the dark side over to coding, you could start vibe coding stuff and kind of prepare for implementation. So the things that you hand off are not necessarily only Figma designs, but maybe you set up the MCP server, or maybe you send the Figma make link or stuff like those. So yeah, I'm going to give it over to Gábor for the takeaways.
Okay, so some quick takeaways, nothing really new after all these things that we talked about. So I think today's workshops and the talks and the discussions around everything that we see right now shows that AI really increases velocity. It's no surprise, but we also see how it distorts expectations, not just on the client side, but on for many of the participants of projects. We start to see MVP becoming a commodity with the Lovable and all these tools. It's really easy and fast and to build, and sometimes we really get a Lovable link as from a client that, hey, I built this overnight. Could you make it properly, like clean it up or build it properly? So it's really not a big thing anymore. But all this also means that that agencies and anyone working in agencies have to adapt new tactics to kind of survive in this new era, and probably some new roles and new responsibilities will emerge, or some existing ones will shift. Maybe designers will become more like AI engineers, maybe moving closer to the consultancy side, maybe something completely different, but the change is imminent. And finally, what András and me also talked about is the quality, the emotion, and the intent. Those are still depending on the good professionals, anyone involved in the collaboration during projects. So these are our quick takeaways, and here's this slide again about our really beta project evaluation framework. I'm really interested in your take on this, so feel free to ask us in the Q&A or after the talks. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions?
I do have.
Yes. Okay. Wait.
Hi. So when you showed that slide about the before and after AI design process, I saw that user research was kind of skipped in the AI checklist. So I was wondering, are you still challenging clients to do the right thing, which is what these workshops that we are doing after were all about? Or how are you handling that? Are you going, for instance, for the thing about the synthetic research? Could actually, colors are Portuguese, so such a note. But what are you doing in that sense?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and a really controversial one, especially the synthetic user side of it. We kind of intentionally skipped the research part. It doesn't mean that it's not there. We just didn't want to include that as well in the talk because it's so dense already. I think user research remains to be important, and probably there are better professionals to talk about that side and how that changes with AI and the implementation of AI tools in whatever phase of the design process. But I believe it's still important and probably a big challenge for many companies to sell research, research made by actual humans on actual humans, not just synthetic users and like simulations. So it's definitely a big challenge and maybe a bigger one than the rest. We just didn't want to go into too deep into that, so that's why it's not there. But it's definitely still part of the process. Maybe sometimes it's shorter or done with AI, unfortunately. Maybe in many cases, I think there's a book called Good Enough Research or something like that. So that applies to AI project as well. So if it's a short and quick project, maybe it's enough to do some research with AI or help with AI. But
We just sold one today. They just emailed me.
okay, so we actually sold human research for a new client of us. So it still exists. So there's hope.
Hi. As you showing the MVP becoming a commodity, where I see a huge challenge is in what you do with those MVPs, right? Because anyone can build MVPs. We can build 100 of them, but that's probably even more costful than it was before, right? Because the validation of MVPs costs time, money, and every time you show something to a customer, it costs something, right?
Yeah.
So
Or
how do you face that?
maybe if your MVP is too successful, then it will burn a lot of money overnight. If it explodes on Instagram or something, I saw that happen, like server costs and those things, like thousands of users in one day. So yeah, definitely that was not a scalable solution for that.
But that's a victory, right? If you have too much success because your prototype is too good, perfect.
Yeah.
Validated. But if you have, I know in the past, I think we would test like maybe 2-3 prototypes with focus groups and so on, and then we would make them different enough. It was easier, I think, and now I see a role, a skill that is tricky, which is the kind of experimentation, validation, or go to market, whatever you call it, this constellation of prototypes.
My short answer is that these are probably throwaway MVPs. Like those are not things that you will use on the long run. So if you stumble on the right solution and it is successful, then maybe you will start over from scratch. Maybe with Lovable as well, but from to build it up better, more scalable, more reliable, more whatever. But with these lot of iterations, those are really throwaway artifacts that you would have anyway with Figma prototypes or whatever prototypes as well. It really depends on the project whether you can use that MVP and build upon it, or you have to start over. Does it make sense?
Yes, I still.
I mean,
There are because I build MVPs within my company, and I really feel the struggle to understand how to validate the MVPs because I want to test a lot, and I find this difficult.
with user research.
Resistance within the company to put MVP in front of customers, right? To integrate in the ecosystem, connecting with all the other systems. Lovable, as any other tool, is hard to put within, right? Within the cloak, authentication, etc. So there is a big cost I see.
And then that's where their chemistry, maturity, stakeholder, whatever comes in, because you might build a really good MVP with Lovable, but you cannot convince your client that you should show it to their clients because they are they think it's risky or whatever they think. So why did you build the MVP if you cannot show it? So it's really complex.
Well, we agree then. Thank you.
Oh, yep.
Hello. In product forums, we hear about PM that should take use of the AI and become more generalist, do some coding, do some designs, etc. here today we heard about the generalist designer. So should I go back and keep my designer and top to my engineer, my tech lead, and survive, or do you think there is room for all of us?
Okay, Gábor confidently gave the mic over to me. So,
As you know, a good example of
yeah, let's see. I mean, what I think will generally happen, and this is maybe more of a pessimistic take on it. There's room for everyone. You use this phrase. I think there will be room for less. There will be room for the same positions, the same functions, but with the augmentation of AI and the tooling that it brings, the velocity in which you can work and the volume of output that you can produce will be greater. So less people are needed for the same things. That is a hypothesis that I have. It still, to me, means that we will have the same rooms and the same divisions, but maybe instead of 20 people, there will be 5. So yeah, this may be a more pessimistic take.
Hello. Do you have any experience with vibe coding and vibe designing prototypes of new features and enhancements in a big and complex product like an ERP or a CRM with a big and complex design system behind you? And if so, how do you do it? How do you vibe code and vibe design and prototype and build MVPs inside these big and old complex products?
Okay, so I think we have skin in the game. We have experience with this. We lost a client because of this. So we had a mix of traditional design process along with some new. Okay, the PM or the product owner built something in V0 by Versal. I don't know if you know. And one track that we went along with was, okay, they have an AI prototype. We do better, more nuanced version of that AI prototype, but still in the traditional framework of do the design, hand it over to the front end engineer, and then have it tested, have it released on prod, and it goes to the clients who actually use it. It's a B2B SaaS, okay? So then they adopted this AI automation so aggressively that it became a case of, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, it's just happening. It became a case of the co-founder, like C-level stakeholder, building something and doing it via cursor and pushing it through the engineers. And there was like a big roar back at him, like, we cannot do this. This is not the practice. Like, what's with code review? What's with AS lop cleanup? All that. But they were so adamant and so pushing that we also fell off the wagon. So we, as the standard classic design process and design model, yeah, kind of lost track with all this velocity. So it's kind of a chaos will reign example, but this is one example. And maybe it's noise, not necessarily a signal, but it's one precedent. And I think it will be on the risk that the C-level people will take within their company, this huge CRM or ERP tool that you're saying, like, what is their risk aversion or non-aversion in utilizing AI? Maybe they're very aggressive with it. Maybe they're a bit more safe. Yeah. Okay, I think that was the last one for this part. We're going to give it over to Tomasz.